Hey guys, Tien here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we are finishing up the Super Battle Road guides here for the new 10 stages on Global with stage 50, which is the Saviors stage. So this is going to be the last one, the good old Tech Gohan team. This category definitely has a lot of strong units on it. So, as always with the team building guides that I do, if there's any units that you think I missed out on or any aspect of a unit that I did talk about that you don't think I covered well enough, let me know down below in the comments section and we can continue the discussion down there. If you do find the guide helpful at all, do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let us go ahead and jump straight in. So, obviously the main leader of the team is the Tech Gohan. He has the 3 key 130 and 170 to attack and defense lead. The highest lead you can get for Saviors. Very, very good unit, obviously. We've talked about him in some of the previous guides already. Very good in Super Battle Road. As soon as he gets one super off, he can tank really, really well. He can still tank well without supering, but I've noticed in these new stages, he will still take a fair bit of damage if he gets super attacked in slot 1 before supering. But obviously, it's considerably less than other units would take. And if you have this guy with dupes or skill orbs, when you can double super, like, his defense is just looking really, really good with that guard on top. So obviously he is the best leader for the team, whilst also being one of the better units on the team. Next up, we have the LR, Goku, and Piccolo. I'm not sure if this is a global buff. I can't remember if these guys were out on JP when these 10 stages came out. I think they were, right? Because they came out with the Kid Gohan celebration. So they might have come out just after the stages dropped. But they are another Saviors leader that you can use. 4 key and 130. They're a pretty solid unit. Raise attack and defense on both of their super attacks. They also lower attack on their 18 key, which is very good. They can launch a bunch of additional attacks. So if you have dupes or additional skill orbs, again, that increases the chance of proccing a additional super attack. They also get a guaranteed additional super when they've received 6 or more attacks and your HP is 59% or less, which is possible towards the end of a run. But not something you're necessarily going to see in every single run. They also have an active skill, but they have to attack 6 times in order to do that. So even with like the God RNG, they can't attack 6 times in one turn. So the earliest you will see this is turn 5. And then of course that gives them a buff with some defense, and then you get like the costume change as well, but you're probably not very likely to see this. So they do have a lower leader skill, but they do have 1 extra key. They can obviously be a good stand-in if you don't have the Tech Gohan, or even if you do have him. If you have these guys, they're definitely a solid unit to use on the team. Next up, we have the Tech Krillin. He is a 120 lead for the Saviors category, so as a last resort, you can obviously use him as a leader. He raises defense on super attack and is a super types allies support unit for 2 key and 30% attack and defense. So obviously he is pretty solid to bring on the team. Even if you're not going to use him as a leader, you can just use him as a 3rd slot floating unit, and he's going to be providing a decent amount of support to everybody on the team. I don't think there's any Trunks or Gotens on the Saviors category, so you're not going to get his full passive and get the extra support, but he's still a solid unit to bring, and like I said, he can be used as a leader if you're missing either the Gohan or the Goku and Piccolo. So next up, when it comes to units to bring on the team, obviously we have the INT LR Namek Goku. We talked about him for the Exploding Rage run. Very, very powerful. Huge buff for Global to have this guy available. Any of the stages that you can run him on, if you have him, you probably should run him. If he's in slot 1 and he takes a hit, he gets a guaranteed additional super attack. And since his 12 key is the one that stacks his defense, that's obviously very, very good. A couple of super attacks from this guy and he basically tanks for double digits. Very, very powerful unit. If you put him in slot 2 or 3, he obviously has the chance to additional super as well. So overall, this guy just very powerful and should be used if you have him. Let's check the actual enemies on this stage. So they are all extreme, and there is a Frieza in the second fight. So that means that against the Frieza in the second fight, this Goku will be getting guaranteed crits. And because there's an extreme enemy, you can use his active skill as a finisher when the final enemy is at 30% or less HP. So very, very good to bring this guy on the team. Next up, we have the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. We could include the STR LR one in here as well, because they are both on the category. But, of course, the AGL one after his Easy A is just much better than the LR. The LR, you have to get his 18-key Super in order for him to have good defense. Whereas this guy greatly raises defense on Super. Very, very good. He stacks his attack for a couple of turns as well, so he can build up that attack stat a little bit. His defense is pretty solid. He also has that medium chance to counter super attacks, which is only 30%, but if you get the good RNG, that could literally be the difference between like saving a run and then losing. So that is definitely always hype when you see the old flash thing and you know that a super attack counter is coming. So he can be very useful for that. And obviously he has some standard links like Super Saiyan prepared for battle, so he can link up decently well if you are bringing, say, the Namek Goku, for example. Next up, we have another good AGL unit for Saviors, which is the Pycon. So he was on Gogeta's banner, so potentially you guys will have pulled him for the first time or pulled some dupes. He's very, very effective to use on the team, even if you're just using him as a support unit, because if you pick up 3 type orbs, he gives everybody 2 key and 30% attack and defense. And then as long as you pick up 1 rainbow orb, he then has a 50% chance to dodge and seals super attacks. So that is obviously very useful for Super Battle Road, being able to seal the enemy. And then if you get down to only having 1 enemy left from the 4th turn, you're able to use his active skill, which is basically a Ghost Usher. So obviously very, very useful. That can allow you to finish off the fight, because the 4th turn often is going to be the last one. And so you'll be able to get through that final turn without actually taking any hits, which is always very, very useful. His defense is reasonable if he doesn't dodge. He's not the best tank in the world for sure. And I don't know if there are any Angel Goku or Vegetas on this team to get his partner super, but all that really does is give him the effective against all types, and he's not really here to do damage. He does also greatly lower attack on super, so that is very, very useful. Sealing an enemy and greatly lowering their attack at the same time is incredibly effective, because now you know they can't super you, and their normal attacks are going to do way less damage, so he's very, very good to use. Next up, we have the INT Go Tanks. We talked about him for special pose. He's nothing too crazy on turn 1 when he's in base, although he does still greatly raise defense on super, which is very good. It's when he becomes the Super Saiyan Go Tanks on the next turn that he becomes really, really good for Super Battle Road. He can potentially super attack 3 times in 1 turn, as long as you have dupes or skill orbs for additional, and each one of those super attacks raises his defense by 50% and has a 70% chance to stun. So obviously he can be very, very effective for Super Battle Road, especially considering the last fight only has 1 enemy, so consistently being able to seal and stun the final enemy is obviously very, very powerful, so definitely a good option. Next up, we have an honorable mention who's here as a very solid defensive option. This Hercule, he doesn't link up super well with really anyone else that we've mentioned, so you might miss out on super attacks with him. He can stun on super, although it is only a 30% chance, but that can of course be very useful. But he has a built-in 50% chance to dodge, and he has damage reduction. The less HP you have, the better his damage reduction is. So obviously that's very helpful if you're going into a turn on super low health. Then he's going to tank really, really well. That's basically what he's going to be on the team for, right? Just to be a blocker. So he's either going to dodge or tank with the damage reduction. And, you know, if you have support units, you have like Pycon or Krillin in slot 3, it won't be as difficult to get his super attack. And then he can potentially get some stuns off as well. So next up, we have the physical Tien. This guy is really good. So he's a Majin Buu Saga super type support unit, which you might not have a ton of on the team. But he has a high chance to stun the enemy that he attacks, even without having to super, which is really good. It's only for the 1 turn when it's part of their passive, but still very useful. But he greatly lowers attack on super as well, which is really, really good. He has solid stats, gives himself key as well as the support, so it's going to be very easy for him to super. And so he's just a very, very solid unit. He's not going to be able to like tank hits in slot 1 or anything like that, but his utility is definitely very, very useful. Next up, we have the physical Super Saiyan 3 Go Tanks. Post Easy A, he has a chance to dodge in his passive. Very solid stats, deals a lot of damage. If you get his 11 key super, he is effective against all types, so he can just hit really, really hard. And if you get that good RNG, he can dodge a bunch of attacks here and there, which obviously is very beneficial. He's not got good enough defense to be tanking supers or anything like that, but with that good RNG, those dodges could definitely save a run. and get you to the next turn where you can then heal up or use a defensive item. So very, very good. Next up, we have the Ube Combo. We've mentioned them in a couple of these already. The STR Ube getting his Easy A has made this combo really, really useful to run. They lower attack on their supers, both of them, and obviously the Tech Ube allows you to, when you drop to 40% or less HP, you fuse with Boo into the Marjube and you get a nice little heal. He then also creates Rainbow Orbs, which gives him extra ki, and his 18 key super greatly lowers attack, which is really good. And this guy also creates Rainbow Orbs. Post Easy A, he's very decent as well. The more HP you have, he can have up to 200% attack and defense. Attacks are effective against all types when HP is 80% or more, and he also creates Rainbow Orbs. So these two together, especially when he's transformed, are really, really powerful. So if we look back at the Saviors category, Hercule is an okay free-to-play unit. He has a chance to stun, but defensively he's not the best. Trunks, obviously we don't have his Easy A yet. The Hercule and Boo free-to-play card can be pretty solid. Tech Piccolo, the meme. We don't really have any Namek Saga units, so you wouldn't use him. This Tien you can use if you have a bunch of super type units. He does also lower attack on super, but not many people have the 50% units, especially with multiple dupes, and so defensively he's not all that great. Kid Goku hasn't aged all that well defensively, but he can stun on super. He has the active skill. He can be pretty useful. Namek Goku's in a similar boat, hasn't aged super well defensively. Bit of a shame he didn't get an Easy A. But he could definitely be an okay slot filler if you need to fill out that final slot on the team. And we did mention a few physical units, so I guess this guy could be used as well. But again, not many people have the 50% support units, especially with dupes. So that is it for my top picks and honourable mentions for Saviors. Like I said at the beginning, if there's any units you think I should have talked about that I didn't, or any aspects of units that I did talk about that you think I didn't cover enough, let me know down below in the comment section. And let me know what team you guys are going to use for the Saviors stage. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.